Here we have Clinton Nortje on the right against Leon Schlechter.
Alright, so let's go over the deck lists that these two are playing. Let's see, we have a black-green variant, the first that we've seen today, sporting, of course, 4 pack rats, 3 grey merchant of asphodels, and a whip of erebos.
And actually, subtly, the most important card in that deck potentially is Mutavault. It's the card that just gives those black decks the extra creatures they need to keep going when they've used all their removal and when their opponent has used all the removal. And they power up pack rat amazingly.
Clinton's got some life gain to put him out of burn range in this match, though. And he's also got very sizable threats to close out the game.
Yeah, he has Whip of Erebos, but only 1 copy. He has 3 Grey Merchants of Asphodel. He can gain life in an emergency using Devour Flesh to sacrifice his own creatures.
I see we got a
However, he doesn't. What he doesn't have is 7 good cards. Well, he has 7 good cards, but he doesn't have lands to play them with. So Clinton is going to be playing with 6 cards this first game. Leon looks pretty happy with what he's holding. He seems to have a good mix of lands and spells.
I believe we can see at least 3 land in that opening hand. That should be enough for his deck to function.
Yeah, he looks pretty good at this stage. So let's just see if Clinton can get an acceptable 6-card hand to be playing with.
At what point does it become simply no longer viable to mull?
I don't think you can go below 5 in this kind of matchup. 4 cards is just never going to be enough to actually win with. Leon is shuffling up Clinton's deck. And Clinton looks nervous. He knows he needs this 6 to be playable or this game could go south before it even starts. That looks fine to me. He's got lands, he's got removal spells, he has that key pack rat in his hand.
Yes, he does.
But
and he mulls again.
He pitches it. Maybe I misread. It's possible he had fewer lands than I thought. He's going to be on 5. It's never a good position to be in the first game.
We see Leon pretty happy with his keep. A full grip of 7 cards, that must mean that he's got plenty of land and burn.
It's often easy to win when you have 2 more cards than your opponent from the first turn.
Especially if those cards in Leon's hand happen to be able to burn out Clinton's pack rat.
That's if Clinton draws a pack rat. He's looking at his 5.
He's got a land.
Yes.
1 land is never enough, but he's on 5 already.
Yeah, the odds of actually getting the lands you need from 4 cards are very low, so he's going to have to stick with this. And Leon has the luxury of starting off with a scry off of Temple of Triumph. The pre-game proceedings have already put Leon in the driver's seat in this game. Let's see what Clinton can do. He's top decked the Mutavault, which gives him the land he needs.
I see he's also
and
got
also
a
some
forest.
board presence. Yeah, the Mutavault came off the top of his deck just now.
Well, he doesn't have black to cast Devour Flesh or Golgari Charm, but he should be okay.
Looks like he just passed the turn back without making... Is he...
Is Leon
it's
perhaps
now, yeah.
waiting for the pack rat?
Well, he'll prefer to do everything at instant speed.
Hmm.
Was that an overgrown tomb that Clint drew? If so, that sorts out his mana issues.
Indeed, it is an overgrown tomb. I suppose the question now is tapped or untapped?
He's playing it tapped. He can tell just from the lands he's facing that he's playing against a burn player.
And we see the first 4 damage going
Boros
to the
Charm
dome.
confirms it for him.
Yes. So Leon leads off with Young Pyromancer and another land tapped.
I think Clint needs to deal with that young Pyromancer right away. If it makes a stream of tokens for him, Clint's removal won't be able to keep up.
We can also assume that Desecration Demon won't be able to keep up should he draw into that in the manner he needs.
Yeah, because Clint can just keep tapping it down. I mean, Leon can just keep tapping it down using the tokens from Young Pyromancer.
There we see his third land.
And Devour Flesh to get rid of the Young Pyromancer.
We also see he drew a Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize is not what you want to see when you're playing against Burn. Dealing 2 damage to yourself is just doing their work for them. But it can remove a key card from the hand. And sometimes you take away a 4 damage burn spell and you save yourself 2 life.
We see Leon hitting his 4th land drop with another Young Pyromancer.
And he's got 2 mana open, so he can actually make a token in response to a removal spell. And if that removal spell is Devour Flesh, I'm afraid that it's just not going to kill the Pyromancer.
See Clinton thinking very carefully there.
He's using Golgari Charm to give creatures -1/-1 until end of turn. He's getting rid of the second Young Pyromancer.
It would also ping a token if he made one now.
Yeah, so Leon can't profitably make a token in response. End of turn, he's still going to burn though. That's a Skullcrack, which is going to take Clint down to 13 life.
I'm a very big supporter of Golgari Charm. Possibly my favorite card.
It's very flexible, does a lot of powerful things.
Between Thoughtseize, Hero's Downfall, Abrupt Decay, and Golgari Charm, one can say that Black-Green Devotion is pretty much sorted.
It can remove any major threats that it faces, and it has some powerful plays. It's not been as popular as the straight mono black devotion. The clean mana base just is so appealing. But if you feel like you need Abrupt Decays to deal with diverse threats, then black-green is where you want to be.
Okay, we see the Thoughtseize here.
It looks as though Leon is responding to the Thoughtseize with the Warleader's Helix to the Dome.
Very smart choice. That would have been a target for Thoughtseize.
And this sequence of plays is taking 6 life off of Clinton's life total. He's taking away a Boros Charm, which saves him 4. So that Thoughtseize did save him 2 life.
And we see here he gets in with... No? Can he? Yes, he did get in with Mutavault.
Now, with the life that Leon has gained off of Warleader's Helix, and from those Devour Flesh that Clinton cost, he's now on 21 life. So he's got plenty of time to draw the burn he needs to deal 7 more damage. And he has Lightning Strike in hand. So for all intents and purposes, Clint is sitting on 4 life, and he knows it. That's a forest. He doesn't have double black mana. That leaves a lot of his cards stranded in his hand.
It's interesting to note that there's no Underworld Connections main deck that can help him draw into more land.
Underworld Connections is not a great card against burn because of how it slows you down and how much damage it deals to you. But Clint must just be wishing he had something going on here.
Especially after taking another Lightning Strike to the dome.
Yeah, he's at 4, but Leon is operating off the top of his deck. Thing is that anything except a land is live for him. And it looks like he's drawn a land. Is that a land in his hand?
It looks to be a temple.
Yeah, even though that doesn't deal damage for him, he can at least scry with it. So he can dig deeper for the burn that he needs to close out this game. And he doesn't need much. Stoke the Flames would do it all by itself, so would Warleader's Helix or Boros Charm. He's bottomed that, so he hasn't found anything that does it yet. Clinton has a very small window to get back into this game. He does have Grey Merchant in his hand. If he can get his mana up, he can regain some life, but it's not happening this turn.
We would see that Grey Merchant be able to block the Mutavault.
Yeah, Leon having the Mutavault is a problem as well for Clint. He probably should have... He must have thought about keeping his own Mutavault to block, but he can't go back down to 3 land.
We see another Devour Flesh. Clinton is thinking very carefully about keeping that 1 black mana open.
He must be thinking that his best bet here is to Devour Flesh when Leon floats his Mutavault. Whatever Leon has drawn here, he has enough mana to work with.
I always find it interesting when players line up their mana base. It's always a good sign to what they're plotting.
That's why you do it as weirdly as you can to make your opponent think far more than he needs to.
Well, I'm thinking that Leon is already on top of his game. There's no need for psychological tricks.
Although, if he had a burn spell, he'd have cast it in his own turn to give Clint one less opportunity to draw out of this.
You see the Mutavault getting in. I guess he's not keeping it for a blocker.
He has left himself mana open for Devour Flesh, so he can... Oh, he's drawn his 5th land, but it's not a black source. He still can't cast Grey Merchant. That is a lightning strike.
And that's game.
It actually... Clint hasn't realized that he could have saved himself there. He was on 2 life. He could have spent 1 mana to activate his Mutavault. He could have Devour Fleshed himself to go up to 4 life. But I don't think that would have mattered in the long run. He could have bought himself 1 more draw step, but it would have taken a miracle off the top of his deck.